That's right, welcome to the Total Stickcast. Today, March 27th, 2019, I, Paul Johnson, was actually on time for once. That's better than any introduction I could give you. You can find out more about me at everythingpaul.net. And with me, as always, I found him eating AA batteries on my strange addiction. It's Ryan Blair.
Woo! Hey, it's better than coffee, man. Don't knock it till you try it. That's all I gotta say.
Okay. There's something to the Energizer Bunny, eh? He's like eating those fucking things too?
And it's only strange if you're normal.
Okay, look at that.
Yeah.
Truer words never spoken.
Never, ever.
No, never, ever. So today's gonna be a tight show. I'm looking for like an hour and 20 maybe. No video feed. We're gonna get down to it. We're gonna get the meat into the potatoes, and we're just gonna just fuck the potatoes. We're gonna do it.
That's really weird. See, if I was going to do something like that, I probably would have made it a little bit more noticeably sexual.
Okay.
Right? If you're talking about fucking something, it'd be like the meat and the taco. And we're going to fuck that taco. Something. And that's just
not
off
a
the top of my
taco.
head.
That's gross. Not a taco.
Or the hot dog in the bun, the meat, something
easy.
A little more like...
Too easy.
Yeah, no, but I'm just saying, just off the top of my head, because if you really think about it, the meat and the potatoes, we're going to fuck those potatoes. It's just, there's nothing sexual about that.
No.
So fucking... What? No.
I know there isn't.
No.
That's what makes it more off-putting.
Well, that just makes it awkward.
I know. I do awkward.
It's true. You do awkward better than anybody I know. So.
Well, thank you. What have you been doing this week? Awkward?
No, not a heck of a lot. The kids are off for spring break.
Okay. So
that's a thing, and we've just been puttering. Still trying to organize and okay. Get cleaned up and everything like that. Let me see. Yeah, our dryer shit the bed again. Our new dryer that we just got.
Holy shit, man!
Yeah, we've had it for what, like a week.
This has got to be you doing it.
I don't know, man. Like I don't know. Naomi seems to think I break everything I touch. So maybe there is some truth to that because I don't get it. I don't get it. Like the dryer is working, but the heat doesn't. And the last dryer, I think the bearing went in it. So, I don't know what the hell. It is, well, no, it's an apartment sized dryer.
Okay.
We got a really good deal on it. We got the washer and dryer for $100, and the washer kind of shit the bed, I guess. But the guy, it's a friend. He thinks it's a easy fix. And they're only, and this is the thing, they're a year old. So I don't know what the fuck, but
yeah, they shouldn't be having these issues.
What do you do to your clothes? Size. Well, no, but it is an apartment size, like I was saying, and I'm using a full size washer, so I try to limit the amount of stuff I put in the washer. And I feel if I put too much in, then I just leave it in the washer, or I put it in the basket so I can start another load. And then, I try not to overfill it, but I feel like if I was overfilling the dryer, it would be the motor that went, not the heater. And the motor seems to work fine. So, right now I have it going on, I guess, essentially air dry, just because I did have 2 loads in the queue for the dryer. So, yeah, I don't know. We're going to have to call somebody, but, no, I don't do anything to my clothes. Other than the regular person, I piss in them, shit in them.
I think I'm starting to understand.
I soak them in cocaine and then try to ship them to Florida.
Okay, but those don't make it into your washer and dryer, so that's not even relevant.
No, those ones don't. No, those ones definitely don't. I would have a Colombian drug lord after my ass if I did that. Be like, whoops.
Yeah. No. You launder the money, not the cocaine. Yeah. Launder the money.
Yes, yeah. Well, sometimes I get confused. I am old and I am blonde, so those two things are not a good combination. But no, I think.
Okay.
I think other than that, things have been pretty quiet. I applied for a new lawyer.
Oh, okay. And
I'm on the
divorce?
Yeah, in my divorce, I was assigned this lawyer, and I never met him, never talked to him, and I had to pick up all my files and evidence and all this other shit from my last lawyer. And then I took it to his office. He just happened to be there at the front desk, and I said, "Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm your client. Here's my stuff. Get back to me." "Oh, is this an emergency stuff thing right now?" I said, No. You don't have to jump on it today, right? But I mean, this was I think middle of January.
Okay.
So I gave him, I'm thinking a couple weeks, you know what I mean? Let him get caught up, let him go through my shit, couple weeks, okay, no problem. Do his own thing, whatever else he's got going on. But no, and so, I reached out to him, and I've been trying to reach out to him since February, beginning of February, saying, "Hey, so what's going on?" No response. I said, fuck it. So, yeah, so I'm in the market for a new lawyer, and so I'm not too happy because, again, it's a further delay, and it's not my fault.
Yeah, no shit.
So, but yeah, no, that's, I think that's pretty much all I can think of in my life. What about you?
I went to a wedding.
Yes.
And I don't know what I was planning on following up with it. I also got my crazy haircut, which sucks that we're not streaming, that we don't have the video feed today. But I'm wearing
You were supposed to send me pictures of that.
I was going to, but I'm going to take pictures for Facebook. I just haven't yet. So.
Well, yeah, by the time you get around to it, it's going to be grown back in.
No, it won't be. So I have the sides, I'll tell you about it. I have the sides shaved.
Okay.
And then right where my hairline would kind of happen and I kept all the rest of my hair, so I have really long hair except for the sides. Well, not really long, like, chill out, but I have long hair except for the sides. And I have it cut in, little, like, pinstripes cut in on either side of the, like, quote-unquote mohawk, if you will.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it looks pretty dope. I've had a lot of compliments on it.
So now, we discussed last time when you were talking about getting it, you said we decided that people needed, a week or a day off work paid to get used to their new haircut, their new look. And so how long did it take you to get used to this?
Hashtag hair day. No, it wasn't instant, I wouldn't say. By the time I had gone, because I had to go grocery shopping with it immediately afterwards, I'd say by the time I'd been through the whole store and seen all
the dirty looks and,
Well, just, it got it out of me that it wasn't a dirty look. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have my headphones on and an old lady's moving her lips near me. She's saying, "Excuse me," not, "Hey, weirdo," So, like, once I got it out of my head that people were looking at me weird, I think it was fine. So...
Awesome. Well, that's good. I mean,
it wasn't bad.
You were a better man than most.
I mean, and the wedding wasn't bad either. It was, I don't know. The ceremony itself was very, very, very religious.
Okay.
And
so
very much about the mega church in which it occurred.
Okay.
And basically the whole time was just like a giant what the fuck marquee going through my head. How they have the digital screens along at like the major sports venues that just stream like, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was just what the fuck the whole time across one of those in my head.
And that's the thing, and that's what I was mentioning about it when you said you were going to this wedding. I went to one of these religious weddings in a church, and they talk forever and ever and ever, and it's like nothing to do with marriage. It's like, on the seventh day, God created ice cream, and hath giveth thou with appleth. You know what? And I mean, it's like, what?
This one was like a hyper contemporary version of that because it is a mega church and such. But I don't know. So I went to another one. So okay, just to wrap up about that wedding, I want to say like I don't know. I don't want to talk shit about like somebody's wedding or whatever because I was just like an awkward fixture in the middle of what's supposed to be the happiest day of somebody's lives, from my perspective. Giant what the fuck. So
good to know.
But anyway, so yeah, I went to another wedding a while back, a couple years ago. I don't know. We both know the person, but it would benefit nobody for me to mention names on here because, yeah. Anyways,
we both know the person.
We both know the person.
How come I wasn't invited?
It was a religious wedding. Oh, you'll be happy. It was a very religious wedding, but in that very orthodox way that I think you're talking about. Like, it was extreme, like there was candles lit.
Yeah.
Like, and each person had to, like, hold one and this, that. And it was all about, like, the body of Christ. And it was all about, you know, all that kind of stuff. And it was long. And so I think it was, like, Catholic Orthodox. Or I don't know what, if that's even a thing. I probably invented that. But it was, like, really, like hardcore. It was pretty brutal. It was in, like, an ancient freaking church. And everything was super stuffy. And it was just...
To me, that really takes away from the beauty of not only the moment... but, you know, the memory of it. Like, because people sit there and they walk away, you know, in the first 5 minutes and they're going, she comes walking down the aisle and she's, oh my God, she's gorgeous. You know, they're looking, oh, isn't he handsome in his suit? And, you know, they exchange vows. Sometimes they write there, oh, is that, you know, but I mean, you get that first initial, oh, everybody's so beautiful and then the priest, right? And then at the end of it, you're sitting there and you're going, fuck. You know, that was a long wedding. So then you get somebody like me saying to you, so, hey, you went to that wedding this weekend. How was it? Dude, they should have been serving liquor and opiates at the fucking ceremony. You know, and that's, you know, and that's really unfortunate that, you know, because it just takes, to me, it takes away from it because, hey, I'm not really religious. Being Buddhist isn't necessarily a religion more than a belief, but I respect religion and I understand what religion tries to teach or teaches and you know all the different religions and everything. I think some people go a little crazy, you know, saying you have to give all your earthly possessions and you have to, you know, and all your money and you can't talk to somebody who isn't a Scientologist, even though it's your kid and. You know, shit like that. I mean, I don't agree with the, you know, the dictatorship of some of these religions. But to me, religion just doesn't need to be shoved down people's throats at a wedding.
No.
You know, especially considering you're paying for this church and this service. It's like, you know what? Say a few things about the sanctity of love and God's outlook on love and then talk about the people. And then let them say their vows. You know, 20 minutes. Bam, it's done. You know?
Yeah,
that's not so bad.
About the people. Like you're saying, let it be about the people. Let it be, No, I
like I had, like, and I mean, on a similar thing, I went to my great-grandfather's funeral. Mm-hmm. And this was, you know, this was 25 years ago, whatever it was. Yeah, I guess about 25 years ago. And he was in this home, huge. I mean, this place was a hospital, and it was called Deer Lodge in Winnipeg. Great place, great facility. And so the funeral was there. They had a chapel area and everything, and they had a chaplain or a priest, whatever, you know, it wasn't. But again, this guy gets up and starts just going, and literally for an hour and a half. This guy's talking about the seasons and winter and snow and flowers and spring and, you know, and I mean, it wasn't that it was so much religious. It was just like, he rambled on and on about nobody had a clue. And I mean, yeah, absolutely religion was thrown in there, but it was, nobody had a clue what this guy was talking about. And I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing to laugh at a funeral, you know?
Yeah,
but
it shouldn't be.
But people aren't laughing for the right frickin' reasons, right? And it was just, it was rough. So I don't know. I just think that some of these weddings and funerals and everything, they make it far too much about shoving religion down your throat and making sure that everybody there, you're taking that opportunity to convert. And it's just like, nah, I don't know.
They're really selling the product subliminally. There, like it's like if you had a wedding and they were like, these two people met at a restaurant. That restaurant served Coca-Cola. Let's take a minute to think about how many moments of our lives Coca-Cola has been a part of, shall we?
Yeah, like, absolutely, man, absolutely. Coca-Cola, that effervescent drink, the bubbles. In your mouth, that initial bam. Absolutely, man, absolutely. I don't know.
All in favor. Remember the polar bears.
Open bars. If the wedding has an open bar, not the wedding, but the exception, especially the wedding. But if the reception has an open bar, I think there's probably a little bit more tolerance from the guests to sit through a long ceremony.
Yeah, but I don't think the two necessarily go hand in hand either, because I think generally if you're having that like staunch of a wedding, you generally don't have an open bar following it.
That's probably fair. I think I've been to one wedding that had an open bar, and I'll tell you that was a mistake. I definitely think there's something to be said about having to buy your drinks because you're a little bit more reasonable. I mean, I was walking around double fisting triples.
Yeah.
Right?
And
you can't it's not like
free liquor.
Yeah, I mean, then there's no boundary. It's just like how many I had, I have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
You know, because I still have $100 in my pocket, so I have no idea. No idea.
My little wobbly pop budget is doing just fine, so I must be sober.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been to one wedding with an open bar, I think. Maybe two, but I've been to two weddings where I could kind of drink as much as I wanted because I knew the person tending bar before. I was even underage, I think, so it didn't even matter. I definitely wasn't paying. But yeah, so I've been to at least one, maybe two weddings with an open bar, and it's not, we've discussed on very recently on previous episodes how I've almost killed myself doing so. So.
That's no good.
No, it's no good. Speaking of death, I've had one set of Beats headphones for the past 8 years, and they only now have what I would consider to be an irreparable injury.
Okay.
So they're going to die. So that's my both my heartbreaking news and my and my endorsement for Beats all at one time.
Oh, I'm a Beats guy, man. I got a pair of Beats a number of years back. I bought them brand new from Best Buy. And you know, I absolutely love them. And I still have them to this day. I ended up having to buy some new plastics for them. But they were like $6 on Amazon, so I wasn't really, you know, yeah.
Okay, sick. Are these earbuds you're talking about?
Well, they're the ones that, they're earbuds, but they then wrap around your ear.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, mine are like the studio muffs.
I've seen yours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, on the video feed, of course.
Yeah. Well, and I also have seen you in person wearing them, and
wearing them, I guess so.
Yeah.
But on the same token, do you know what it would be like for me to just assume that you analyzed and remembered my headphones that I was wearing? Like, I mean, like, I wouldn't remember that necessarily. Like, I couldn't tell you if I was wearing an earring any of those days. I couldn't tell you. Like, I mean, I have no idea. That would be very presumptuous of me to assume that you remembered my headphones from them being coincidentally around my neck.
Well, and I mean, I don't necessarily remember them as, every time I see Paulie's wearing those, neon green earphones, I don't know what color they are. I had no idea that, I don't sit there and go, geez, he's had those earphones for a long time. Right?
That's what I'm saying.
So how long have you had them?
8 years.
8 years. And what did you pay for them?
A long time. Whoa, the fire alarm's going off in my building. 2 and some, I think, like $250, $260.
So, I mean, that's a pretty good investment.
Yeah, definitely. I still have the iPod that I bought at the same time. It's a 164 gig iPod.
I have a 120 gig, I think it is, classic from
mine's a classic.
When we worked together. I believe I bought it there, and I still have that, and I love that thing, yeah.
Yeah. I don't use mine often, unfortunately, not with the advent of podcasts and Spotify and everything. There was just no keeping up for the poor thing. But it still has music on it that I like to go back to every once in a while. It's like I got a bunch of records too. It's kind of the same thing. Like I have music on there that I can't really find anywhere else now. So yeah. So you have word of the week and trivia this week.
You do.
Both. Thank God. So since we have those two segments, I thought we needed a new segment.
Okay.
Called I Have Enough on My Mind, Don't Randomly Talk to Me in Public If You're a Fucking Psychopath. And this is more of a solo one for me. This is two people invaded my personal psyche this week for no necessary reason while I was walking down the street, and I feel obliged to share these experiences with you.
Okay, well, I do want to hear this.
Yeah. So, the first one I was outside. The second one's inside a store. So the first one, I was crossing the parking lot sort of to get over to the main sidewalk to fuck off home kind of deal from the grocery store, from Safeway.
Okay.
So I crossed the parking lot, and on the other side, there's these three, I don't want to draw any assumptions. Maybe they all had homes, but I'm going to assume that they were definitely residence impaired, to say the very least. They were very scruffy-looking gentlemen, to say the least. And actually two guys and a girl. And when I got over to them, the one guy who I can't stress this enough, has bushels of hair. I mean, bushels. He's got this big, like, afro-y, curly hair and it's pulled up in this giant-ass freaking ponytail, I guess, but you wouldn't call it a ponytail because it explodes out the other side of it like a goddamn mushroom bomb. And he's just got, like, so much hair. He must have 80 pounds of hair on his head.
Wow.
And he looks at me and says, what does he say? He says, you're one of them fiddle hippies. I know a fiddle hippie when I see one.
A fiddle hippie.
So, yeah, that's I just wanted to stop and ask him for a lot of more details about what that was. But, I was like, nah, nothing like yours, man. Like, what, I just, cause he was like, and he mentioned my hair or whatever, like, you got the hair or whatever. So I'm like, yeah, nothing like yours or whatever, like, please let me keep walking, don't stab me. And
I'm still stuck on fiddle hippie.
He keeps, that's exactly the thing. He keeps leaning on it. Oh, yeah, you're a fiddle hippie. And then he's like, well, boys, I gotta get going. Like, now I'm involved in this. Like, he's now I'm just trying to get past him. Him and these two other people take up a sizable amount of space, so it takes me time. And, yeah, okay. And so then he leaves and these other two are like turning towards me. I'm like, I am not fucking getting involved in this. I am not your new friend. I don't know how this happened. I am not a part of this. I crossed the street. So I just kind of ignored them and like just excused my way through them out of their space to get away from the fiddle hippie situation.
Yeah, that would be something to get away from.
But fiddle hippie?
You Googled this. Please tell me you Googled this.
Is this a thing? All I can find is hippies playing the fiddle.
Okay, so...
Of which I'm neither a fiddler nor a hippie.
a fiddle playing hippie. A hippie fiddler. That's, we need, I mean, I don't even know where to go with that because I'm sitting there thinking, okay, well, you know what, maybe we could post in some sort of general forum and say, hey, anybody know what the fuck a fiddle hippie is? Right? Because now this is going to consume my life.
I don't think it's a thing. I don't think it's a thing, but I think more people should be called a fiddle hippie, but also I'm trying to determine what the criteria is to be a fiddle hippie. Do I just need hair that's more than a buzz cut? Like, what did I do? Because I don't have a fiddle. I don't know if that other guy plays a fiddle, but I don't have a fiddle, so...
I'm trying to picture you and trying to collate what would make you a fiddle hippie. Like, I'm sitting there thinking hippie, I'm thinking long hair, tie-dye, peace, love, man, big pot smoker. I mean, but everyone's a big pot smoker these days, so can't really fit that in there. And, headphones around your neck.
Headphones on my head.
Okay, on your head even.
I was not actively engaging.
McDonald's coffee in your hand. We need answers. We need more answers on this. So if any of our listeners have ever heard this term, please let us know because we are at a loss.
For the love of God, yes. You could even call us and tell us at 1-587-997-4697. Then select option 2 and tell us what the fuck a fiddle hippie is.
Yeah, this is going to bother me for the rest of my life.
It is. It's going to bother me. It happened to me. It happened to me. This isn't even. I have another story to tell you, but this isn't even it. When I was a little kid, we were sitting in a parking lot outside a liquor store, and this guy came up to the window, and okay, so for context, I was probably maybe 10. I'm gonna say 11, and sitting outside the liquor store, and this guy comes up to the window, and he starts like banging on the window, and he's like, "You're marked. You're marked." Like,
well, that just means he's gonna kill you.
Let me tell you this. It does stick with you. So in 20 years, I will probably still be trying to figure out what a Fiddle Hippy is. Because an event like that has a way of sticking with you.
It would, especially when it is just so out there.
Yeah, so very out there. So then, the next thing that happened to me, I was walking through a Safeway I don't normally go to, not that it seems to matter, because there's psychopaths everywhere.
Yeah, there is.
So, yeah, so, especially on this podcast. So, I'm walking through Safeway, looking like me, you get the image, and this guy comes up the aisle towards me, and, I mean, he looks like he walked through 5 different people's houses and had to pick a different article from each of clothing from each person's house. He does not look like at all like he looks like he got shot with a clothing gun. To start with, and he's got no cart, no basket, and he's carrying this hunk of meat. I think it's a steak or something in his hand, but he's like just holding it out in front of him in this weird way that you don't carry anything. And he stops me as he gets close to me. Says, "Hey man, yeah, you got any change?" No man, I'm sorry, I don't. And he says, "Hey." I said, "Yeah." He says, "You ever shoplift here before?" I said, no." And he says, okay man, bye." And he just keeps walking.
Oh. Yeah.
So.
Oh.
What was he hoping for? If I had said I did shoplift, was he going to protege below me? What, like...
You know, it's really mind-boggling to me how, you know, out in the public, some of these people you see, some of these people that interact with you, you know, how they're able to tie their shoes.
Yeah.
There's this one guy, and I've never met him, thank God. But there's this one guy that I've seen posts, and he's in Calgary here, and he posts videos, and generally they get shared to groups that are basically making fun of him. And I did click on his profile one time. And I think people obviously follow him because of the outrageousness, but he makes these videos. And I'm not really sure what his malfunction is in terms of mentally, but he videos himself and he's like downtown, he's outside, and he's just ranting. He's ranting about the government, and he's ranting about all kinds of conspiracy shit. And it's just like, what? And people are commenting going, "Meth, not even once." You know?
Yep.
And it's just like, yeah, and I get, you know, and I don't want to say anything real bad about, and I certainly don't want to generalize, but I don't want to down talk people with you know, mental conditions, you know, schizophrenia and bipolarism and, you know, all the other sorts of, I don't know the names of everything. I mean, they've got names for everything now. But it's just, how do these people manage to survive?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's alarming. It's alarming when you see, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's alarming when you see, and they do survive. They do, and there's so many different ranges of that, and people do some pretty fucked up things that aren't quite that fucked up, and it's like, yeah, no, people are really screwed up out there. There are sick people out there, and it, just because they're sick doesn't mean they have to be incapacitated, or they're not going to work, or they're not doing shit. There's some really fucking sick people walking around out there kind of functioning.
Absolutely. There was this guy I remember in Toronto, And he was, what do we call him? Bad Santa, Crazy Santa, I don't know, something along those lines. And he was this big guy, big buff guy, and he would walk around in downtown areas of Toronto with his Santa hat on, shirtless, and he would just wander across streets in the middle of traffic and just waving his arms. Sometimes he'd be carrying a golf club or a bat or a stick or nothing, and he'd just be ranting about, like, incoherent babble. Like, it wasn't even the government's trying to fuck me. It was just like, you know, the world was against him and he was taking it on. Like, it was, and it's like, you know, a guy like that, I mean, a guy like that can't hold a job. You know what I mean? And even a guy like that, how is he not in jail? I mean, okay, let's assume a guy like that is homeless, right? And because he can't hold a job if he's that angry or if he's that fucked up and whatever, that disturbed. And then, but even on the streets, so he's wandering around and he's ranting and he just happens to, you know, like like someone looks at him the wrong way and he clips them. You know, I mean, the guy was well known around Toronto. Like, you could sit there and say, hey, you know that guy? And they'd be like, oh, yeah, I saw him last week. You know, so it's like, again, how does a guy like that survive out of jail? You know, why is he not in jail? Why hasn't somebody just had enough and shot him in the face?
Well, I mean, okay, that's bound to happen eventually, and I'm not saying you're encouraging it, but that's obviously not the ideal answer. That's not the answer to prevent it from getting to that point, and that's the problem. Is that the mental health support isn't there, and people just get kicked out, and they become the police's problem, and the cops. And the cops can't deal with it because they're not doing anything major yet. They see it happening. They know the problem's there. And once every few years, a cop speaks out and they say that, like, we're not the mental health system. We can't keep filling this role. And things just get pushed off until it becomes their problem. There's just a gap between the mental health system and getting gunned down by the cops or thrown in prison. And they just wait. That gap is just spent waiting for the person to either escalate or fix themselves.
Well, and that's the whole thing. The mental health system just isn't there. And I mean, if you try to approach the mental health system about it, they'll say, well, we can't help people that don't want to be helped. Well, and I mean, that's legitimate. That's a legitimate statement. However, what does that mean we can't? I mean, how hard are you trying? Are you just saying, hey, Bob, I think something's wrong with you. You want to come talk in my office? No! Okay, have a good day. Like, I mean... What kind of, you know, I mean, this guy, like, you know, like I said, let's just use the Santa guy and even conspiracy theory guy. I mean, I don't know so much about hippie fiddle guy, but, you know, there's these people out there that are homeless, and I mean, they go to soup kitchens, they go to food banks, right? And where's the outreach there?
Yeah, these people are in the system. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I took a buddy to the food bank a couple of years ago, and you know, to I guess the food bank. I guess there's only the one in Calgary. I mean, there's lots of churches and stuff that'll put hampers and you know this and that, but they don't have like a counseling station. They don't have like people wandering around. I mean, we had one guy walking around saying, "Hey, do you want a bottle of water and a cookie?" Okay, well, thank you. I'm hydrated, but I'm crazy. You know, they're just again. You can't.
I'm hydrated. I don't know how to balance my finances. I am mentally fucking ill. I don't know how to make a resume. I don't understand email. But thanks for the fucking cookie, you fucking impotent cunt. Yeah,
I mean that's the whole thing, right? Yeah. And I mean, again, I know that there's only so much they can do. And I mean, I know that there's a lot of programs out there and you know, but it really is about people having to come in the door. And again, I understand that, but I feel like if they had more community programs where, you know, there was more community vans driving around and you know, stopping and talking to these people and giving them resources and, you know,
And it doesn't even have to be that complicated, because like you say, these people are in the system. It doesn't have to even be a van driving around. These are people who do make contact with the system in a lot of cases. These are people who are getting arrested, like we were talking about. These are people who are going to the food bank. These are people who their name is in the system. They are interacting with people who could stop the flow, who could stop the cycle.
Well, and and the thing is it's take psychologists, psychiatrists, take them out there. Mm-hmm. Have like a van, a pharmaceutical van with you, and be like, hey, a psychiatrist, talk to them for 10 minutes. And I know that's not ideal, but you get a pretty good idea when you've been doing it for a long time. Even a retired ones, or maybe a government, I don't know, and saying, you know what, here's a bottle of fucking whatever, of lithium, because you're schizophrenic.
Well,
and then when people...
There's a danger.
When people... Absolutely there's a danger. I mean, there's certain things... I mean, you're not going to hand out narcotics, right? You can't. But I mean, no. Things like lithium aren't narcotics, But if you had some sort of way to administer certain medications to these people that don't know any better and don't know that they need help and don't know, don't know that they need help to get help, right? Because they are homeless. They don't have a family to say, hey, before it's too late, get them to a doctor and get them on something to keep them stabilized, right? And that's and it's unfortunate, because I mean, how many people today are homeless because of that?
Yeah, definitely, because they just get pushed down further and further into the system. They just become somebody else's problem, and somebody else's problem, and somebody else's problem. That never moves uphill. That unfortunately only moves downhill. And I'm not really a big fan of necessarily medicating the masses too much. I'm pretty much an opponent of a lot of prescription medication. But even to have people, when people are getting arrested, when people are getting taken off the streets, and they're clearly, when you're arresting the same person every day of the week, when you're going to the same houses every day of the week, to have the resources there when they're getting arrested and coming in, to have somebody there for them to talk to make a follow-up appointment, to get them into the system alone, just that one minute step before you go out there and deploy therapists into the streets or anything. I think even just that minute of a step would make the world of difference. Because, I mean, right now, it's so hard to, for one thing, it's so hard to reach any resource that's free, for one thing. Even the ones that try to work with you on sliding scales and things like that are often unaffordable if you don't, for one thing, if you don't push them for better rates, and if you don't know any better, like if you don't know to fight for better. And more than that, the waiting list that exists for those things that are free. We have some resources around these parts here of Calgary, Alberta, where Alberta Health does cover things. And this is something that I talked about when I was on the melancholy condition with Darius Velasquez earlier. Was it this month? Maybe something, or last month. When I was on there, a lot of people think, like, because we have universal healthcare, etc. in Canada, like, we have so many things covered, and people think that, okay, because you go to the doctor with a broken leg and they fix it and you go home and that doesn't cost you any money, a lot of people think that our mental health kind of works the same way, and it's not the case.
No.
It still costs us, and what free resources are there? I'll tell you exactly how it works. You get into the system, you wait a year and a half for somebody to get a hold of you and book an appointment.
Yep.
Literally. So when you're that mentally unstable, when you're losing telephone numbers monthly, when you can't maintain those basic things, and you're that close to homelessness, or you're that close to becoming a danger to somebody else, that's not... that you can shove that directly up your ass, because it's not helping anybody when they're that far down. Sure, it's helping a very small segment of society, but those are the people with the audacity to wait through the process to get there. Those people have the strength to make it. The most vulnerable people are getting completely shafted in the process, and they become the cops' problem. And that's...
Yeah, and it is unfortunate. And then what ends up happening is they do end up in jail, which burdens the system. Yeah. Or they end up on, or people that that, are still, aren't too far gone, end up losing their jobs, their homes, and then end up on welfare, and again, a burden on the system. So
pushed out by their families, and when you get out of jail, there's a whole fucking challenge all onto itself. Yeah. Now you've got to explain to all your next employers where you've been for the last 6 months. You've got to, no.
Yeah, well, and that's the whole thing. And I mean, some people might argue, well, in jail, they have resources and they sit there and they have, counselors and they have, people that can medicate you if you need medication, stuff like that. And stuff like that. But you know what? Why does it have to come to that?
Yeah.
Right? You're taking away someone's freedom to get them help when you could have helped them before it got that bad. I mean, some people, it's I don't like to believe in things being too late. But, I mean, really, at the end of the day, some people just really are too far gone. But if you still have a job, or at least still have a home and a savings, whether it's an apartment or whatever, and you're still, half-ass maintaining, but it's getting more and more of a struggle. I mean, these are the people that you can help the most. And like you said, you're on waiting lists and you're, and yeah, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then a lot of times, these services are very, very expensive. I mean, I think to get to a psychiatrist, you're looking at an average of $200+ a session.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's just in today's economy, whether it be Canada or US or other countries. I mean, in most economies that, you need, right, months of sessions, once, twice a week. And again,
there's that situation. The worse off you are, the less access you have to it.
Yeah. So it is really unfortunate, and then you get these crazies calling you hippie fiddles, fiddle hippies.
Yeah, I mean, the fiddle hippies. It's just terrible. And asking me if I ever shoplift. I mean, we need to fix the mental health system. I ain't got time to answer these people's questions about fiddle hippies and fucking shoplifting. Get on it! Okay, well, I think we've fixed all of the world's problems.
We have. We've given everybody the information they need, and and now they just have to wait a year and a half.
Yeah,
it's good.
Exactly. So if you're listening to this and your life's falling apart, just go through the back catalog and just spend some time listening to the podcast, and before you know it, you'll be getting half-ass help from a med student.
When you climb that ladder of life, just remember the Total Stickcast.
Yeah, there we go.
We do accept donations, or you can join our Patreon.
Yeah, indeed you can at Patreon at www.patreon.com/TSC podcast.
Full of bonus material that is sure to delight your senses.
Indeed, including your sense of sight with our with our twice monthly video feeds, and your sense of hearing with our weekly minisodes.
Yeah.
And your sense of touch for those exclusive high tier subscribers. No, we don't do anything. We don't guarantee any services.
No,
of a physical nature.
We don't provide services, bedroom service.
No bedroom service. No kitchen counter service. No. Okay, we got to be more specific. Freaky people would listen to our show.
Yeah,
they're not going to be normal people.
We're big time kink shamers. Okay, no, we're not. But
no, we can't be kink shamers.
We're definitely not kink shamers.
Septic 5. Speaking of kink shaming, I love when things work out. Septic 5. Have you ever heard of this?
Of course I haven't.
Of course you haven't?
It sounds like an alternative band.
It does, doesn't it? It's an older, like maybe 10 years old or so, video, and it's really hard to find, but places like LiveLeak and those weird undergroundy sites, you can find it. It's a guy who put on a latex. Latex doesn't do it justice. I feel like sadly it was made for this, but I don't know who the fuck would have made it. I don't know what the fuck. It's very special. It's a very special outfit that he's wearing. It's very skin tight, and he's swimming in a septic tank.
Oh.
On the ground.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's his kink.
Oh, that's his kink.
He washes it over himself with his hands and stuff, and he just, you can tell he's fucking into it. Like, he's totally, when he gets out of there, he's fucking yanking it so hard.
Well, to me, that just raises the question that who's letting this guy swim around in their septic tanks?
You know, I don't even ask that question anymore. I've come across too many things in this world to even ask that question anymore. Because I begin to ask that question, and all I think is, well, yeah, of course, no, he meets people in the industry. Of course, yeah, he gets he pays people to let him in. Of course,
so then there's
there's
people out there whose kink is watching a guy in a latex suit swim around in their septic tank.
Yeah.
What was I couldn't do that. I mean, I know if you can think of it, it exists, and I know that. But there was, what's that guy's name? I don't know. I think he was on CBC, and he did all the Toughest Jobs, I think the show was called.
Okay. I know what you mean.
You know who I'm talking about. So he goes around and he does all these jobs that people don't realize exist, and they're crazy hard, and they're from A to Z in weirdness and difficultness. And one of them I remember watching. I never followed the show or anything, but I do remember seeing the one show where he had to they were sucking out of a big ass tank, and he was like waist deep or chest deep in shit, and he was just, he was gagging and puking and I mean, just that's,
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I can't believe what does it for some people. I mean,
it's true.
I don't know.
It's true. I mean, and like you said, if you can think it, then, it definitely exists. And I mean, if you can have a nightmare about it, that exists as well. So, God, that's really weird. Please tell me you're not sending me a link to...
Just stop dreaming, people, because nightmares, when they come true, are not good. I sent you a link to something. You'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, no, I don't know that I want to see that.
Well, I've seen it, and you have to be able to form a certain amount of detachment for yourself, and just be like, hey, look at my hands, they're perfectly clean, and it's just a picture. It's not a picture, it's a video, but, it's just an image on my screen. I'm okay, I'm safe. You have to just keep reminding yourself of that. And just detach as you watch those kind of things. I don't know.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. Yeah. I just don't feel like I want to let my brain go in that direction.
It's a special person. So you got some, trivia for me there?
I do.
Sweet!
Alright, let's have a look here. What do you want to do first? Do you want to fucking, do you want, where's my stuff? Do you want word of the day, or do you want trivia first?
Well, you know what they are, so why don't you pick?
Okay, I'm just trying to... Okay. I've been finding a few good words of the day, and so it's gonna be...
See. Heads is word of the day.
Word of the day? Okay.
First.
So you're going to do it.
Flipping.
You're flipping, okay.
It's heads, so word of the day first. I got heads twice in a row. It is a virtual coin flip, so maybe it's rigged.
Is it flipped?
What was that?
Did you flip it yet?
Oh, yeah, heads.
Oh, so it's word of the day.
That's
okay.
What I said, I got it twice.
Yeah, I thought, okay, all right. Your word of the day today is metrophobia. Metrophobia.
Phobia? Okay, well, I think some classic video game fans might remember a little game called Metroid. I think it came out in the early middle 80s, and maybe for Atari, I believe. That game, they were beginning to experiment with what could really be done with 8-bit sound for the first time. So the sounds in it were like super freaking vibrant and just really, really deep and like things people had not seen in things like pinball games and stuff like that. And they kind of hit a neurotic point, neurism in your brain that would create things. So, and we know that about sound. That's not the news. That's not what the word means. We already know that's a thing. I just did explain it well. Different frequencies have different effects on people. So, with that in mind, the game was all the rage because, I mean, video games were brand new. So everybody was, trying to go out and get them. And people would spend hours and hours and hours playing it because, of course, when you turned it off, it wouldn't save because they didn't have onboard hard drives back then. So people would play it for hours and hours and hours. And oftentimes people would take shifts. So we would get together, for instance, and we'd be playing some Metroid, and I'd have played for like 8-9 hours. I gotta go to sleep. So then I'd give it to you, and I'd go to sleep. Well, meanwhile, I'm sleeping, and I'm in the same room, because we're just running shifts back and forth. So these sounds are seeping into my brain while I'm sleeping, and because of that, a whole bunch of people wound up, right into the early 90s, being quite shell-shocked, actually, where they would hear similar frequencies, especially as technology advanced, and 8-bit sound made it into, like, ringtones and those kind of things. So people would hear these tones and it would just set them off. It would trigger them and create, for mildest points, anxiety. Some other people ran out into traffic when they were exposed to certain sounds. And that irrational fear was dubbed, Metrophobia for the Metroid video game, of course. I don't need to explain that part. And that's what it is.
And this is why everybody today needs lithium.
Yeah.
That grew up in the 80s.
Exactly. Because I say shit like that, yeah.
Yeah, well, and because of that explanation.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how they always say that the simplest answer is usually right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in this case, that definitely applies.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So it's a fear of metrosexuals?
It's a fear of poetry.
Of poetry?
Of poetry.
What the shit?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I thought you might have gone in the direction of trains. Of subways. Right?
I figured it was a fear of the big city if it wasn't Metroid.
Or,
I figured it was a fear of cities.
Yeah. Well, yeah, or Metropolis.
Metroid first.
But definitely,
But,
it definitely makes more sense that it would be a video game from the 80s.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a fear of poetry.
So it's a fear of poetry. That's amazingly not what I thought in any realm of existence it could have been. Not in the least. So I was right. Metroid was released, but I don't think it came out on Atari. Metroid was a Nintendo game, and it came out in '86.
Okay. Well, at least you got something right that had nothing to do with what we were talking.
So I didn't bullshit that.
No. Okay, so we've got to move on from that while I still shake my head.
Alrighty.
So I just have a bunch of general trivia as we've sort of discussed in prior podcasts that getting a quiz together is not always the easiest thing. So
You're telling me.
I put together just general randomness that I thought were interesting and yeah. So let's go ahead with this. So your first question is, which of the following items was owned by the fewest U.S. homes in 1990?
What?
Okay. So was it a home computer? Was it a CD player? Was it a cordless phone? Or was it a dishwasher?
In 90?
In 1990, the fewest U.S. homes owned these.
I would say computers.
It was actually a CD player.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess. Probably by a thin margin, though, I bet.
I would think that a lot of this stuff is pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, it was a CD player.
Alrighty
Okay.
Then.
In the year 1900, in the U.S., what were the most popular first names given to boy and girl babies?
Okay, what year now again?
1900.
Okay.
Was it William and Elizabeth, Joseph and Catherine, John and Mary, George and Anne?
Ooh, I was sure for a minute, but it was a hot minute and it went up in flames. I was gonna say Joseph and somebody, but George and Anne swept in there at the last minute. I thought, fuck, there's a lot of people right around that, like, early 1900s age that were named George, like, famous people, at least when I think about them. Let's say George and Anne.
John and Mary.
No, really?
Yeah, John and Mary. See, I probably would have gone George and Anne too, because you meet a lot of older people named George. My great-grandmother was named Anne, and she was born in 19-something, like early 1900s, 1908 or something like that. So, yeah, so I probably would have, just for that reason, because my great-grandmother's name was Anne. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, John and Mary.
Alrighty.
Okay, so far you're not doing so well.
I am not doing so well.
Which of these characters turned 40 years old in 1990? Charlie Brown, Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, or Fred Flintstone?
Oh, fuck. It's unforgivable for me. Okay, 40 in 1990?
1990.
That means it debuted in 50. And it's Charlie Brown,
Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, Fred Flintstone.
Okay. Bugs Bunny predates that. I'm almost 100% positive. The Flintstones, I want to say, would come about in the early 60s. And what was the other one?
Mickey Mouse and Charlie Brown.
Oh, Mickey Mouse fucking predates that by a mile. It is Charlie Brown then.
It is Charlie Brown. I was wondering if you were gonna get that one, being that we had we had a Peanuts guy.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yeah, no, I'm a big Peanuts fan, but I thought maybe I'm off by a year or two, so that's why I wanted to strategically eliminate the rest of them. But I realized that based on what I knew, and like I consider that's an area I know things about. And for that reason, I really wanted to strategically eliminate the other ones, and it turned out to my benefit.
Well, yeah, there you go. Well, you did well. Your overthinking paid off.
It did, big time.
Yep.
Thank God, I've waited 30 years for this day.
All right, so one right, and we got two more to go. Okay. In 1990, in what percentage of U.S. married couples did the wife earn more money than the husband?
Do I get choices?
Oh, yeah.
See how easy that is? You're not even smoking. Okay, go ahead.
Shit. I'm sitting there looking at the choices too, waiting for you to answer. Oh my God. All right. Was it 8%, 18%, 38%, or 58%?
Fuck, it's one of the first two.
1990.
Fuck. Either one, I'm gonna have a goddamn I knew it moment. So do I have little faith in mankind, or do I feel like being a feminist today? Let's say 18%?
It is 18%.
Yes!
All right.
My feminism paid off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your faith in humanity paid off. All right. Well, two right. I'm impressed. You're doing better than I usually do, so.
Whew. Okay.
Okay. Now, last question. Who holds the record for the most victories in a row on the professional golf tour? Is it
Motherfucker.
Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Byron Nelson, or Ben Hogan?
Okay, didn't put Tiger Woods on there. Good deal. Can I go ahead and hear them one more time? Because I needed to absorb them first and see that there was no obvious ones.
Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, Byron Nelson, or Ben Hogan?
And it's the most wins?
Most victories in a row.
Jack Nicklaus.
Byron Nelson, which I was surprised by that answer.
Really?
Yeah, Byron Nelson.
Wow, I thought it was going to be him or Arnold Palmer possibly.
Well, yeah, I mean, out of the four, I mean,
Yeah.
Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer are the two, in my opinion, best known names, and Ben Hogan as well. I've never even heard of Byron Nelson, so yeah.
No, I gotta say, I don't think I have either. No. Well then, we learned what I know.
But you still got two right, which I'm impressed with. So
Yeah, that's not bad for us. So what do I win?
nothing. You win a hearty woohoo!
Woo! There we go.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's that. So I started watching. I've watched a couple. I've been on Netflix the last couple days, and I watched a series called Turn Up Charlie.
Okay.
With Idris Elba, who's a very popular actor right now. You don't know who he is?
No, not really. I kind of recognize the name.
Did you watch Thor?
A long time ago.
Okay, well, do you recall the guy that controlled the Rainbow Bridge with the big sword and the black fella? No. Anyways, I mean, if you've seen a picture of him, you would know who he is. Anyways, so he's a DJ that had a big hit, 30 years ago, sort of deal, and he's continued this dream of wanting to continue being DJ, and it follows him. He ends up becoming a nanny for his best friend and his wife, who is a big famous current DJ, but he's a nanny to their little girl who's 11 or something. So there's only one season of it. It is new, and it was cute. It was good. I enjoyed it. So anybody out there that wants to pick and I mean, I'm not a big, I don't say sitcom. It's a series. It's a show. I don't know what they're really called. But I'm always really hesitant to start something, and I'm also really hesitant to find something I like. Just by the look of it, right?
Yeah.
So I was really on the fence about Turn Up Charlie, and I enjoyed it. So I look forward to a second season of that. And I also started watching another series that I've been wanting to watch for a while. So I started it, and I'm into the second season. Peaky Blinders.
Okay. I haven't seen it, but I know it.
Yeah. So it's based in early 1900 England, and it's about a organized crime gang called the Peaky Blinders. So now, and I mean, this isn't a spoiler alert, but in the shows that I had watched so far, it didn't really explain what the hell a Peaky Blinder was, but that was the name of this gang, this organization. They were called the Peaky Blinders, and I thought, it's kind of a weird name, So I actually, so of course Google is your friend, and I Googled this. So it turns out the Peaky Blinders, firstly, is rumored to actually have been a gang. So the show is very loosely based on the Peaky Blinder gang. Now, what Peaky Blinder is rumored to mean is that the gang members had razor blades sewn into the rims of their flat caps. So that they would...
They're flat caps.
Yeah, they wore flat caps.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they would then take off their hats and strike people with them in the face, and essentially
Odd Job style.
Yeah. So it would essentially, because it was on the peaks of their flat caps, and so they're the peaky blinders, because they would blind you with their razor blades. The other rumored theory on what a peaky blinder is that the peaks of their hat were very hard, and in a fight, their first move was generally to headbutt somebody in the face, which would blind them, permanently, temporarily, whatever. So, but
that seems like the same rumor. That seems like the same legend, just told by two different people who misconstrued it.
But yeah. So I mean, it's an interesting show. It's good. I like it. Yeah. So that's another one for people. I think I'm in the middle of the second season, and it's good for people that like that sort of thing. I mean, it's really neat.
Have I talked about Son of Zorn on the show before?
I'm not sure, but I mean, I don't know for sure, but I know that I've seen it on Netflix in terms of being on there. I've never watched it.
Oh, watch it. It is to enjoying a TV series what S&M is to sex. It's in black and white. It's not pleasant, but when you're done, you might look back on it and be glad you did. It's okay. I mean, spoiler alert, first of all, because I'm not going to be careful about what I say at all. It was a Fox show, I believe, and it got canceled. Okay, so what is it, first of all? It is like He-Man, if anybody remembers He-Man. The character is basically He-Man. And he comes from this other land where everything's animated, as is He-Man. And he comes to Orange County to be a part of his son's life. Now, because somebody was having fun with like animation programs, his family is not animated, but he is. So now it's Roger Rabbit, okay? So he's all up in there trying to raise his human family and get along with his wife's new fiance and all this stuff. And meanwhile, he's a cartoon. A cartoon voiced by the guy from why can't I think of his freaking name? I'll get back to you on that. But yeah, so it's just this cartoon trying to exist in day-to-day life, basically. So that's okay. I mean, if the novelty starts to wear off, it's no sooner than it should, I guess, given what it is. I mean, if you can't enjoy that mixed reality as it is, then you're not going to last long. But Jason Sudeikis is Zorn. That's what
yes.
Yeah, okay, so he's the voice of the animated guy. So, now the problem, the one big issue at the end of all of this, is that the series got cancelled after one season.
Okay.
Which wouldn't be an issue if they had any fucking idea that they were gonna get cancelled. But clearly, they had no fucking idea that they were gonna get cancelled. Okay, so literally, spoiler alert, people. And I'm sorry if you were planning on watching it. I'm gonna tell you exactly how season 1 ends. Okay, the one and only season of the show ends with him getting kidnapped on the side of the road. Then he gets taken to this location. Meanwhile, his son's waiting to be picked up somewhere. So there's this whole emotional arc on the go too. And he gets kidnapped and taken to this location. They pull the bag off his head, and he makes eye contact with the person that kidnapped him. And that's it. That's the end of the series.
I hate when that happens. There was a show I watched called Nova.
Okay.
Nova or something, and it was about futuristic Earth. We had destroyed the planet. And so a team had created this wormhole that went back in time to the age of dinosaurs and to set up a colony to rebuild and restart and do things properly. Now, of course, the entire world wasn't invited. It was just like any of these Armageddon type movies where they protect the smart ones and the artistic ones and whatever else, right? So
the rich ones
and yeah, so So I guess there had been a team that went out, and then they lost contact, and then so they sent a second team. The second team built, and then turns out the first team is still alive, but they'd kind of gone rogue, and were living like bush people, and it was a good show. And of course, then you have the issues of the dinosaurs, that would attack, and they could only go during certain times, and it was good, and I believe it was on for 2 seasons, and then I guess it got canceled. But it was really good, and one of the lead characters is the I guess the general or the army guy from Avatar, the one that has this big scars on his face, right? So and I like him. He's in a lot of stuff, and so no, but it was really good, and so yeah, it got shut down. So I was another one that got shut down that, again, sort of leaves you hanging was Dracula. Or what, I can't remember if it was called Dracula or not. But again, it was a series, went on for a couple seasons, and it was sort of left with him trying to develop a method to be able to go out in the sun, and he had developed wireless power.
Okay.
Right. And again, it was sort of left as well, and that went on for 2 seasons. There's a lot of shows, man. There is a lot of shows that are quite good, that I quite enjoy, that get canceled. But I guess that's the way of it. Yeah. I mean, you look at okay. So I mentioned there was the one movie. I think, was it the Alita Battle Angel? I don't know. There was one movie recently that I watched that I quite enjoyed, and it didn't really. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, it was Alita Battle Angel, because it had come over from Japan, right? And so in the Asian markets, it's doing great because everybody sort of knows the storyline and it's familiar to them, right? Just like the Avengers. Yeah. And Superman and everything is to us through comic books and various shows and cartoons and movies throughout the years. So that's why they have such popularity now. But there's still, it's unfortunate that you still get a handful of people that enjoy it. Well, even like I was saying, Avatar: The Last Airbender, you get a lot of people that enjoy them. But you just don't get, because they say you have to make double the box office in order for them to determine it's a success. But I mean, if you say spend $200 million, right, and to make something, and you make $100 million, so $300 million, so what? That's a success to me, right? If you make $50 million, that's a success. I mean, why not keep going? I mean, if you make money, maybe it's not projected, but if you make money, you might get something that gains popularity because of the second movie. Right? Yeah. And people go, what do you mean Avatar: The Last Airbender 2? There was a first one? Oh, I'm going to go watch it. And people are like, oh, shit, that was really good. Oh, I'm going to definitely go to the theaters to see this. Or digital download it or whatever. So it's, you take a lot of these movies that just didn't do well back in even the 80s. And they're cult classics today.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're making money back. They're making money again. And I mean, there's so many things that come back into style. People are trying to snatch up Ataris and Pong and, old video games. I mean, you look at some of these Zelda games on the different systems, and I mean, people are charging upwards of $200-300 for a cartridge, and people are paying that. Yeah. Not saying it didn't have popularity when it came out, but I mean, things gain popularity and or get more popularity as the years go on. I mean, obviously you can't know for sure which is what it's going to do. No. It could totally just flop, right? But yeah. So it is.
And Back to the Future.
Oh yeah, Back to the Future.
Such a resurgence.
Yeah, they're still. I mean, I think they have a Comic-Con coming up where some of the cast from Back to the Future is going to be there, and You know, because they're huge. I mean, I just bought a shirt the other day that was Back to the Future, right? Like, you know, they're still printing shirts. I mean, they're still selling copies of this movie. They make references in new movies to Back to the Future. I mean, it you know, the DeLorean. The DeLorean Motor Company is talking about releasing a new DeLorean for, I think, 2020 or 2021. Right? You know, so I mean, it's just like, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even you just look at the old DeLoreans. I mean, people are snatching those up at a couple $100,000. You know?
Yeah, they're a prized possession now, all because of that.
And movie. All because of that movie, you know, that when the DeLorean first came out, it really was sort of a car that was a little bit of Ford, a little bit of GM, a little bit of this, a little bit of this, you know, and they just kind of slapped it together, right? It was spare parts made into a car, and people just didn't, you know, it didn't take off, and so they didn't make any more, right? And but now, yeah, they're huge, and they're highly sought after. The Edsel, another perfect example of even, I mean, different genre, but, you know, different reasons, but the Edsel. I mean, when the Edsel came out, it was a total flop because it had air conditioning, it had power steering, it had power windows, it had all these features, and that were just so different from everything else, and then the look of them was so different that people are just like, no way, we're not ready for this, and they stopped making them, and now people are searching them out, you know, because they're such desirable cars. So it's, yeah, I mean, things make a comeback, and again, I mean, I know it's difficult, but I think, again, if it costs $200 million to make a movie, and you make $250, $300 million, and, you know, you're walking away with $50, $100 million, everybody's been paid, you know, I mean, I don't know how many investors, and I don't know who gives them this money, but, you know, if somebody handed me a check for $2 million, as one of the investors, if they have, say, 25 investors, I think I'd be okay with that. You know, I mean, it's $2 million more dollars than I had, you know, a year ago, right? I mean, if you're making money, you're making money. You know, so.
Well, I guess not everybody views it that way.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what interest rates, and I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people that invest would look at it as just that, as an investment. And, you know, if you say, if you had $1 million, what is it? Something, I've always said this, and I mean, I've said it since I was younger, and so it's probably not even that today. But if you put $1 million in the bank, you could live off the interest. You get $50,000 a year or something. Now, obviously, it's probably different now. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. I'm not entirely sure. But I mean, yeah. So why would you take, if you were making, and I mean, I guess the ideology is if you're making $50,000 in the bank off of that $1 million, why would you take that $1 million and put it somewhere where you make 40,000? So I mean, maybe that's you know, the mentality when it comes to the investment. Hey, I just gave you, you know, $20 million, and in a year I can turn that into 25 million, but now I've only turned it into 22 million.
Yeah, well, and I think that's it to an extent, because I mean, like if somebody gave you or I $1 million, yeah, I could see putting it in the bank and being like, okay, now I can do whatever I want and I don't have to work.
Yeah.
Right, because I can make $50,000 a year. But when you're renting individual office spaces that are $50,000 a year, and that's what you put out in utilities for all your properties every month, it doesn't mean, like, as all the numbers go up, like, your expenses would go up too.
Oh yeah, but damn it, I'm the consumer and I want what I want.
Yeah, okay, well, fine then. As it should be. As it should be. As you say it, it is.
And the customer is always right.
Oh, there we go. Of course. Of course. I know you don't believe that.
Not even close.
Not even close. Well, I guess, I mean, you know, I think we touched on a lot of important things today. We fixed all the world's mental health problems.
Yep.
We got some trivia. We got some word of the day, and we learned some things about Metroid. We
yes, we did.
Yeah, and we discussed Hollywood. I think it's been a really productive day. I think we can't ask for any more, and we shouldn't.
We shouldn't
be greedy.
No, we would be greedy, and we're not greedy. We're far from greedy.
We're far from greedy. All we want from you is for you to, like, leave us a review somewhere. Maybe Apple or any place you listen to podcasts, maybe on Facebook even. Did you know you can review us on Facebook? You can. You can also call us at 1-587-997-4697. And if you select option 2, you can, hey, you know what you can do? You can leave us a message. And you know what we'll do? We'll play it on the show. Isn't that terrifying and exhilarating all at one time that your voices could be right here next to ours, just yammering away? It could happen to you. Go ahead. Leave us a message. And, I mean, you know, I guess, in the meantime, that's probably it for us. So, this has been the Total Stickcast.
Bye!
Bye!
Nice.
I'm satisfied.
Thank you for joining us on the Total Stickcast. The Total Stickcast is available wherever you listen to podcasts, including Google Play, Apple, Spotify, and Stitcher. We appreciate your ratings and reviews as they help other people find us and help us to grow. Please take the time to let us know what you think. The Total Stickcast is hosted and produced by Paul Johnson and features Ryan Blair and Terry Savage. You can connect with Paul Johnson directly on Twitter at OffTheLP or at everythingpaul.net. That's everythingpaul.net. You can find the Total Stickcast on Twitter and Facebook at Total Stickcast. You can also reach us by email at TotalStickShow@gmail.com. My name is Larry G. Jones, and this has been the Total Stickcast. Thank you for making us a part of your day.